Good day to you, viewer. In the last video, I was met with this absolutely desecrated landscape, and I was wondering how I was going to move on from this, but I think I see some kind of warehouse over there, so I was planning on going over there for the next set. Hmm, alright, this looks like the place. Hey, this is bringing back some old memories. I remember all the way back when I reviewed Team Rocket a long time ago. I mean, it was only like 2 months ago, but still. It looks like we're going to be exploring this area as I talk about the next set, being EX Team Rocket Returns. This set was released November 8th, 2004, and features 111 cards, two of them being secret rares. This set sees the introduction of many new artists, as well as a new gimmick for the TCG, and one that is probably my second favorite thing in the entirety of the EX era. Something else of note for this set is the reverse holo pattern is actually different in this set as well, so I think we'll be changing for this video as well. Hold on. Ah, that was easy. I'm starting to get used to this. The new reverse holo pattern features the same holo foil pattern that was used for EX Fire and Leaf Green. However, the cards in the set also have a stamp that says EX Team Rocket Returns logo on them, which is awesome. Even on the common cards, this is really where it starts to get exciting when it comes to the reverses and all other cards. So let's just hop right into the trainers. In this set, Ken Sugimori practically only worked on trainers, which is what I really love to see. I like when they really flesh out the rest of the set with actual artists. Anyways, the copycat shows the girl morphing with their clothing to fit many characters: Pikachu, Team Rocket, Blaine, and the Gold. The Rocket's admin, which sits on a chair holding a Persian's head, and the Rocket's mission, which shows two Team Rocket grunts looking around and holding their Pokeballs out. These Sugimori trainers are actually quite nice. I like the dynamism, and they aren't reused artworks. Katsura Tabata returns from Magma and Aqua to give us the Venture Bomb, which shows Tortrick and Bulbasaur freaking out as gas is released, the Swoop Teleporter, which shows hands looming over a Mudkip, and the Surprise Time Machine, which shows Mudkip evolved into a Marshtomp, with a Ray, and the POW hand extension, which shows grabby hands with the Rocket R, and the Pokemon Retriever shows a Voltorb being sucked up by a machine. These trainers are pretty good 3D cards by Tabata. They've improved their style since the Bronx Kabutops for sure. Ryo Ueda gives us three trainers, being the Rocket's Tricky Gym, which shows their gym, with some electrical cubes, and a purple cube in the background. The Rocket's Pokeball shows an evil hand in the chest of a Rocket Grunt, and the Pokeball is highlighted black and red, and the Rocket's Hideout, which shows the Team Rocket R, and the Grunt standing to the side. Finally, for trainers, Takumi Akabane worked on the Dark Metal Energy, which looks shiny and reflective with an intense background, and the R Energy, which shows two Darkness Energies and the Rocket R in the back. Ah, this place really did bring back a lot of old memories, but I think I want to explore this area a little bit more. Hey, wait a second. Is this my old office? Why is my old office right next to an evil lair? This is messing with my head. Ugh. We'll just talk about the regular cards. Firstly, we'll start with Naoya Kimura, working on the Rattata, which looks to the right with the little hole in the fence next to it. The Mareep, which looks up with the field of flowers, and the Houndour, which sits by a fireplace and looks up to the left. These are cute Kimura cards, and I like them quite a bit. Next, we have Midori Harada, who worked on the Remoraid, which swims through the water with an open mouth, the Larvitar, which balances on top of a rock, the Coughing, which looks at the camera with gas spewing out everywhere, and the Drowsy, which holds onto a pink pillow looking up. These Harada artworks are soft and very nice. Also, I'm sorry if you guys can hear my cat in the background, but she's being very feisty right now. Next, we have Atsuko Nishida working on the Slowpoke, which smiles and lays down with a leaf next to it, and the Sandshrew, which picks flowers in a field. The Onyx, which looks at the camera with the tail coiling behind it. The Larvitar, which opens its mouth and looks at the camera with a fence in the back. The Ekans, which coils around looking up and to the left. The Dratini, which moves its tail forwards and looks up at the sky. These cards are all extremely soft, and as expected by Nishida, these cards are really cute. In this set, we welcome a new artist, being Sachiko Adachi, working on the Voltorb, which looks to the right with an illustrated background, the Magnemite, which looks around with a power line behind it, and the Dratini, which looks down at a lake. These cards all have a clay feel like Mori's, but combine them with illustrated backgrounds, which is a really cool idea, and it's definitely different enough. Next, we have Tomoaki Imakuni. They've actually returned to make the Dark Pupitar, which flies through the underground, looking upset, and the Dark Dragonair, which looks forwards, with wispy clouds and the moon in the background, which look menacing, and I like their art style. Weird to see 3D translate to 2D so well, but this is also the return of Dark Pokemon, which is awesome. I do like the evil Pokemon myself. Miki Tanaka returns to do the Zubat, which flies flat with the moon in the background and nice trees, the Psyduck, which sits by the beach as the sun sets, the Mantine, which swims through with the Remoraid, and the Quagsire, which swims while sleeping, and coral can be seen below it. These Tanaka cards are all quite cute and simple, which I do like a lot. Our next artist is Ayakusube, working on the Rattata, which looks left while holding some kind of nut. The Grimer, which takes up the whole card and its goopy hands are all around it. The Quillfish, which swims through the water, popping bubbles out. And the Mischievous, which looks to the left and wisps around. These cards are less intense as the fire red and leaf green cards, but they are still gorgeous Kusube artworks. Now, we have Yukiko Baba, working on the Magikarp, which flops around at the bottom of a waterfall. The Magmar, which stands on a rock with pink wisps and clouds all around with rocks around it, and the Magpie, blowing fire with a starry night sky. Next, Yukamori worked on the Spinnerack, which looks forward with some kind of forest in the back. The Centret, standing on a field as the sun sets. The Furret, which stands in tall grass looking up at the camera. And the Delibird, which stands on top some ice as it looks down on the camera, which looks cool, especially with that realistic ice. Next, we have Masakazu Fukuda working on the Dark Golbat, which flaps its wings as the smoke flies all around it, and dark shading is used on the Pokemon. The Dark Flaffy, which looks at the camera in a dark forest, and the Dark Sandslash, which swipes at the camera and looks very upset. These cards are extremely dynamic, but we actually have more Fukuda to talk about later, so stay tuned. Now, we have the cards by Nakaoka working on the Dark McCargo, which looks forwards, with dark shading. The Dark Houndoom, which can be seen in the front looking upwards, and the background is the shadow of the Pokemon with the night and the moon. The Dark Gyarados can be seen swirling up and opening its mouth menacingly, with a swirly background. And the Dark Golduck looks up at the camera as water swirls around it. The Dark Arbok looks to the right with the sun setting, and the sky is nice purple. The Dark Tyranitar looks at the camera with lightning striking in the background, and a red background is shown. And finally, the Dark Dragonite, which flies to the right with a deep dark yellowy green moon in the background, which does look really nice. All of these cards by Nakaoka are really nice. They are evil renditions of the regular Pokemon, which do look very nice, like I said earlier. Ah! I'm so tired of hearing this noise. Are you gonna show yourself soon? Oh, my home and office. Dude, this place is where I used to work. I don't understand why you're doing this, but I'll stop you at some point. Anyways, next, we'll talk about Tomokazu Kamiya, working on the Swinub, who travels as a pack looking upset. The Houndour, which chomps an apple in half. The Heracross, which hides around a tree looking suspicious. The Yanma, which have green leaves all around it, looking extremely upset. And the Piloswine Hollow, which sweats and bounds forward, with the sun rising in the background. And next, we have Kagemaru Himeno, working on the Ladybug, which steps on the water, as its leg parts the water in the circle. The Horsey, which blows water out of its mouth. The Seadra, which swims through the water looking down. The Ladian, which holds onto a tree as light peeks through the foliage behind it. And the Kingdra Hollow, which looks down at the camera as the background is vibrant and transformative. These cards by Himeno give me a sense of curiosity, as well as make these regular water Pokemon look a lot more interesting. Next, we have Kyoko Umamoto working on the Hoppip evolution line, starting with the Hoppip, which flies around, near a waterfall and some blossoming grass, the Skiploom, which flies around, with trees in the background, and the Jumpluff Hollow, which takes up most of the card and smiles, with mountains and grass all below it. And next, we have Koki Saito working on this goofy, cute whooper with a huge mouth looking very happy, and Roxit in the back. The Slugma, which looks right as the smoke bellows in the background, and the Cubone, which fight as a pair, looking around. The Dark Raticate, which strikes at the camera and looks super upset, and the Dark Slowking Hollow, looking extremely menacing at the camera. The Dark Hypno, which evilly swings its pendulum and smiles with its evil face, and the Dark Electrode, which uses heavy shading and smiles deviously as electricity can be seen all around it. These dark Pokemon are a huge departure from Saito's usual style, but they do look really nice. And now we have Mitsuhiro Rita working on the Rocket's Wobbuffet, which smiles and screams outwards with its arms up, and shadows come off of it. The Rocket's Meowth, which looks at the camera like it just did something bad, which are both in 3D, and then the Dark Wheezing, which looks at the camera and spews gas everywhere, looking almost sad. The Dark Muck, which opens its mouth wide open and goops around. The Dark Octillery, which strikes at the camera with a mischievous grin on its face. The Dark Marowak, which looks down at the camera as it stands on some building, and heavy shadows are used on its face. And finally, the Dark Houndoom, which stances up and shows some kind of dark building in the back. After Rita, we have Kyoko Koizumi, a new artist for this set, working on the Dark Ariados, which looks straight at the camera, and dead trees and a web can be seen below the Ariados, which look quite aesthetic. The Dark Tyranitar, as it looks at the camera while swiping around, which looks very angry, and the Dark Steelix Hollow, which swings its body around with an aggravated look on its face, as it swims out of a purple vortex, and the Dark Crobat, which flies around with a purple outline. It's a little hard to make out the background of, but it does look like there are some trees in the back. And now we have another new artist, being Emi Miwa, working on the Dark Pupitar, which raises rocks around it and emanates a red energy. The Dark Magneton, which electrified the area around it, with broken buildings in the background. The Dark Dragonair, which also swipes around, but the outline is a nice light yellow, with the sky in the back. And the Dark Ampharos, which vaults everything around it with an extremely upset face as the hollow foil bleeds outwards, which does look really nice. Surprised to see that these are Miwa's only cards that they ever illustrated for the TCG, but I wouldn't complain at all if they came back at some point. Our final normal artist is Sumiyoshi Kizuki, working on the Meryl, which bounces on the water with a wink. Togepi, which finally returns Kizuki's no outline style, which I've been missing, and they continue it with the Togetic Hollow, which poses in front of a rainbow, which does look really gorgeous. But the Azumarill looks gorgeous too. It's such a stylistic difference from the rest of the set, which was all the evil dark Pokemon for the most of it, which I think was probably the intention of these cards, but they do look pretty awesome. Now, we move on to the gorgeous EX cards of Team Rocket Returns, starting with Ryo Ueda's EX cards, and starting with the Rocket's Articuno EX, which flies through the sky with a purplish pink background and speed lines behind it. The Rocket's Entei EX, which stands inside of some lava and looks dead on at the camera, which looks menacing. The Rocket's Moltres EX, which flaps its wings and looks down at the camera with its long neck, and speed lines go up in this card. The Rocket's Sneasel EX, which throws its claws downwards, and looks to be descending at a rapid pace. Then, the Rocket's Suicune EX, which looks absolutely fantastic. I love how they look at the camera with red eyes and the ice glaciers are behind it, with the goopy face thing and the ribbons. Finally, for Ueda, we have the Rocket Zapdos EX, which thunders down lightning and a nice green background sits behind it. Next is Mitsuhiro Arita's EX Pokemon, starting with the Rocket's Hitmonchan EX, which jumps at the camera, preparing to punch it. The Rocket's Mewtwo, which extends its hand and looks at the camera, and a purple tail swings right behind it. And finally, the Rocket's Snorlax EX, which eats a berry and casts a large shadow with a purple background. These cards capture Arita's signature style, even as 3D artworks. And finally, for the EX cards, we have Hikaru Koike's EXs, being the Rocket Caesar EX, which holds its arms down and looks directly at the camera as the background swirls black and white, which contrasts nicely with the Caesar. I really love this card a lot, and I like the next one a lot too, being the Rocket Scyther EX. And as it readies its scythe, the dark shading is used on the face, and a similar background to the Caesar is used. Overall, the X cards in the set are all phenomenal. They're gorgeous, and there are so many different good Pokemon to collect in this set. But I suppose we'll move on to the secret rares, both by Ken Sugimori. And firstly, we have the Charmeleon, which, yeah, you guessed it, it's the Charmeleon. It's literally just a default render of Charmeleon, which kind of just stands there with that hollow foil pattern. But they also did the Here Comes Team Rocket secret rare, which is actually a little bit cooler, which shows a revitalized artwork of Team Rocket as they pose with the Rocket R in the background, which is a cool throwback to the original, even though I kind of prefer the older Sugimori style with those thick outlines that he used to have. But finally, we have the thing I've been hyping up all video, I guess, being Masakazu Fukuda's Gold Star cards. And this set started us out with some cool ones, being the Mudkip Gold Star, which showcases a shiny Mudkip as it swims through the water, as its tail flies behind it, the Torchic Gold Star, which shoots fire out of its mouth and jumps backwards, and the Trico Gold Star, which climbs up a tree and looks to the left. These may be the first Gold Star cards, but they are certainly not the last. They are a big part of what makes the EX era so special, combined with all these gorgeous artworks, and I'll go over my favorites. I love the Mudkip Gold Star, Rocket Suicune, Rocket Caesar, Rocket's Hitmonchan, and Rocket's Articuno EX cards. And then the Azumarill, Dark Marowak, Dark Electrode, Dark Steelix, Kingdra, and Togetic holo cards. And then the Dark Tyranitar number 19, Delibird, Misdreavus, Dark Ariados, Dark Gyarados, Heracross, Drowsy, Houndour number 59, Larvitar number 63, and the Wooper. Overall, this set is really fantastic. It's filled with so many beautiful artworks and wondrous renditions of awesome Pokemon, and I really love this set a lot. It's just almost perfect. It's not too big, but it's not too small. It has wonderful artworks of really good Pokemon, and it was actually fun to cover, other than the whole my office being destroyed thing. But anyways, in the next set, I'll be reviewing EX Deoxys, and I think I'll be confronting this thing soon enough. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel to stay posted when I release the next set video. And if you enjoyed, make sure you like and comment. Sorry, the cat is just clawing at me right now. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye now.